a quick note, I have a hard stop at like 10 of 9 because I have another meeting I have to get into by 9. So just heads up.
Okay. So, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the March Bytown Economic Development Committee meeting. We will call the meeting to order at 8:04. Any public comments this morning? I don't see any.
Yeah, I'd love to have the opportunity to introduce myself, if that's okay.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, of course. Welcome, Leah. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thanks so much. Good morning to the committee. I'm Leah Gabriel Potts, and I'm the new general manager of Mount Snow, and it's wonderful to be here and to meet you. As you may know, I started at Mount Snow in December, and I will say I've been really impressed at the excellent work of the team as we've been operating through the winter season. We have definitely experienced some winter weather challenges, but our mountain trails have a great base, and I'm so grateful for the hard work of our operations team. So overall, I'd say it's been a great season. Still to come are the annual Corinthia Classic presented by Rockstar Energy Drink. Our terrain park competition is this Saturday, March 8th. We also have a Day for Jake on March 15th to celebrate the legacy of Jake Burton Carpenter. And Reggae Fest is going to be the weekend of March 22nd to 23rd. And right now we are anticipating that our winter season will extend until April 20th. And then coming up this summer, we're going to be hosting Friday night base area block parties throughout the summer. The Independence Day fireworks celebration on July 5th. And the 30th annual Mount Snow Brewers Festival. So just to share with you, my vision is really to collaborate with all our stakeholders, including the towns of Dover and Wilmington, the entirety of the Bytown Economic Development Committee, the Rotary Club of the Deerfield Valley, and other community partners, and to maintain and improve Mount Snow's reputation as a premier year-round recreational venue for residents and guests. So thank you for your time today. It's great to be here, and we're just really appreciative of your ongoing partnership and your collaboration and support. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me anytime. Be sure to drop by if you're at Mount Snow near the resort, or if you see me in town, I'd love to meet you in person and say hi. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Leah. Welcome.
Eric, do you
Yes.
think we should go around and kind of introduce ourselves?
Sure. Let's start with
just so that she has an understanding of who we are.
Sure. Let's start with the big room.
Heidi? Go ahead.
All right, I'm Heidi Taylor. I'm the administrator for Deerfield Valley Rescue. I've been on Bytown 8 years, I think now, so.
Go ahead.
Bill Benny, the Hermitage Club.
I'm Gretchen Haverlock. I'm the economic development consultant for the town of Wilmington.
Charlie?
Charlie Foster. I'm the representative from the Wilmington Select Board.
Tim Dolan?
Tim Dolan, I'm the Bytown Marketing Director.
Sam?
Good morning. I am Sam Kondracki, the Executive Director of Wilmington Works, which is a nonprofit located in downtown Wilmington.
Christine?
Good morning. I am the general manager of Southeast Vermont Transit. Leo, you see our big cow buses cruising through all the time, the Moover.
Bethany?
I'm coming. Sorry. Hi, Leah. It's Bethany LeClaire, Chamber of Commerce.
Vicky?
Hi, Leah again. I am the chair.
1 second here.
I got problems.
Okay. I think we're good now.
I fixed it, Vicky.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, Adam Grinold. I'm the executive director of the Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation. We are the economic development entity in partnership with the state of Vermont for the Wyndham region, and I live in Wilmington.
Okay. Shannon, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yep. Hi, Leah. We've met before. I'm Shannon Wheeler at the town of Dover. I'm also the chamber board president. I take the minutes here, and I'm the one that sends you the agendas.
And Leah, hi again, Eric DeRocher, Town of Dover Economic Development Director. I think that's
can't see.
everybody. Laura's just getting on, so we'll have her introduce herself when she is on. As far as changes to the agenda, I will go ahead and why don't we move Christine and the mover to the top of updates just so that we can hit her deadline. And we'll make sure we're good to go there. Any other additions or changes to the agenda? Love that. Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the January 9th meeting?
So moved.
Gretchen moves. Do I have a second?
Second.
Adam seconds. Any discussion? Perfect. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we will move right into legislative updates. So Gretchen, thank you for reaching out to some of our local legislators. I see that Laura is here. I know that Emily was invited as well. Maybe she will hop on, but we will start with Laura if she is ready. I see her in the car. Laura, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and give us some updates.
Yeah, good morning. Representative Laura Sibilia, driving around Wilmington looking for you all. I didn't realize you were virtual.
Well, you can drive to Deerfield Valley Rescue.
That's where I am.
Oh, well, come on in.
Now, no.
Oh, wait a minute. Are you in the front? Drive
It's
around.
Good morning, everybody. So, how can I help you in terms of legislative update? Are you looking for something just generally how things are going?
Yeah, I think what we were looking for is, like if you could talk about economic development, those are the things, housing, pieces like that we are directly impacted by.
So I will say that things are going very slowly this year. There's a lot of hurry up and wait for proposals, I would say, from the governor, which are being delivered, which is different than in other years. There is a housing proposal that the governor has put forward that is I am not deeply dialed in to all of the details of it, but I do believe it supports project-based TIFs. The Housing Committee is also working on a bill, which I think they are getting ready to move. In terms of economic development, I serve on the Energy and Digital Infrastructure Committee. I don't serve on the Commerce and Economic Development Committee. And we have had 3 bills that have been passed into law so far this year. Very few bills have come to the floor. As I said, things are moving very, very slowly. In the economic development committees, I know that they have introduced a number of privacy bills. I believe there is something of interest to all of you, a short form bill in Ways and Means related to the 1% local option tax, which has been accumulating really big surpluses at the state level. There's a $10 million surplus. Is this something that this group is already up to speed on, or should I explain more about the 1% local option tax and what's happening this year?
If you could
I think it's
explain. Yeah.
You say explain more? Okay. With the local option tax, 30 retailers pay that directly to the state. The tax receive, I believe it's 70% of the funding back. The state retains 30% for the pilot program, the payment in lieu of taxes program. This program was put in place for right after, I think it was Act 60 or Act 69. Vicky, you probably would remember the exact timeline, but it was for communities that had been impacted pretty significantly by Act 60, by the property tax. It's now being opened up to a lot of other communities, and more and more communities are signing up for the local option taxes, various aspects of it. In Wardsboro, they have even signed up for it for lodging, just because they have some high-priced Airbnbs. So what is happening is there is $10 million that is sitting in a fund of overpayment. And when we accumulate those types of overpayments at the state, they are always in risk of somebody's great idea. And those funds are now being looked at. I got to remember what the governor was looking at them for. I think he was looking at them originally for there are communities who have been flood impacted, and the towns have been hesitant to do the buyouts of the properties to lose the tax revenue, lose those properties on the grand list. And so I think the governor has proposed that this fund be used to offset some of that grand list loss, to incentivize communities to do the buyouts. So VLCT has been pretty strong in opposition to this. I have signed on to a short form bill asking for the funds to be returned proportionally to the communities that that they came from, and for the formula to be rebased so that we're not accumulating these surpluses. It's a short form bill. It was sent to Ways and Means. When I brought it to the attention of the chair, she had indicated to me that she probably didn't have time to take this up this year. With all of the work on, I see it, I'm laughing. With all of the work on education finance, this doesn't really appear to be that difficult of an effort, given that you all, I think, are deeply connected to the 1%. I've spoken with Vicky about this previously, but I would highly encourage the towns individually, by town together, to reach out to the other towns in southern Vermont that are collecting the 1% local option tax, and to reach out to all of your legislators and the chair of Ways and Means, and politely and respectfully ask for this to be moved along. So I guess I'll stop there. There's, really all of the oxygen right now is around education in the State House. And, the governor dropped a 200-page bill on Friday. He came out with very broad concepts of a really huge change in how we do governance at town meeting, and pay for education at town meeting. In Wardsboro, I was asked, if I had an opinion, and I had, my opinion is that the governor's proposal is of an appropriate scale. The details always really matter. I think there are a lot of details that are problematic and that will get changed, but it does envision looking at governance, looking at buildings, and looking at how we fund and deliver education. So I think that's appropriate given the challenges around declining enrollment, hiring of teachers and administrators, and the condition of a lot of buildings. Importantly, the governor also proposed that every child would now be connected to a public school district, and every child would now have the opportunity, if his proposal were to pass, to enter a lottery for school choice, I would say that an expansion of school choice statewide is highly unlikely. So I will leave it at that. And I don't know if Gretchen, is that helpful?
Yeah, I actually have a question, a little bit back on to the housing and the TIFs. Do you know if they are going to be mandatory to have that in a designated, some sort of, town designation, like, a neighborhood or anything like that? Are they talking about that?
I do not know. I see Adam has his hand up, so he may have more information on that. He is actually following the Economic Development Committees more closely than I am, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, on Monday, the update that we had specific to the what's called Spark, which is the TIF light version specific to housing, is that there does not seem to be strong interest in picking that up this year. There's now an effort to maybe smush the HIT, it was referenced, the program that was also specific for housing, and maybe merge the HIT and the Spark and make it less TIF-like in its support. So that's the way the legislative call left off on Monday was that over this week, a lot of conversations are happening with folks, and that next week we'll see what's introduced, and what makes it through crossover will really indicate what's coming ahead.
Yeah, so just to be clear, I'm really against any kind of designation around those TIFs, because you have to follow the Main Street or the specifications, and you would end up having to put in some sort of sidewalk, trails, those kind of things around that. Now, sidewalks within a community or something like that makes sense, but when you're talking about connecting it to a downtown, it becomes really, really super expensive and a lot of onus on the town to maintain those. So I really discourage any type of designation.
One other thing I heard, Gretchen, I think would be relevant to this group, is that they're really looking to, right now you have to opt into the second tier. And what they're hoping to make a change coming out of this year is that towns have to opt out. So Wilmington, Dover with public infrastructure would be eligible to be included in all of the last year's efforts to reduce the Act 250 requirements and all that program entails. So that's sort of a sleeper thing, but that they think they're going to try to get in, and seems to have strong support.
Great, thank you.
Also, while I have the mic here on this topic, I'm going to send to Shane. Is there no chat in this? I was just looking for chat. Okay, I'm going to send everybody a document that we prepare once a month. DRM, Downs Racklin Martin, is the RDC's government affairs representative. So they have people in every single hearing that we have identified we want to track over the course of the legislative session. And they do a very detailed summary of those hearing notes. So if people have a particular interest, let me know, because I only look at a fraction of what we get, because they also have other clients who are interested in things that RDCs are not, and we have access to those notes as well. So if people are really interested in the weeds, they're available, and then they can also help anyone schedule testimony, which is a really great opportunity if people do have a strong interest in a topic. They are always looking for Vermonters who have experience or have been impacted by something or would like to advocate. So happy to help connect people to that opportunity.
Awesome.
Okay.
Any other questions for Laura?
Hey Laura, it's Bethany. This could be loaded, but I'm just gonna put it out there because I feel like I can't not.
My favorite.
So we at the Chamber have been receiving phone calls from mostly our friends in Canada who are expressing their super frustration with what's coming out of our Oval Office and their choice to not travel to Vermont because of it and the US in general. But I think I'm just curious what the conversations are at the state level around the impact to tourism that could be a consequence of what's going on.
So when the tariffs were threatened a month ago, the governor put in place a interagency task force to monitor and research how those might impact Vermont. That is being led by Commerce Secretary Lindsay Curley. She was just on Vermont Edition yesterday, actually, talking about the potential impact on Vermont of tariffs. In addition, the Treasurer Pichek has a task force that he has pulled together to try and understand the financial impacts that Vermonters may be facing based on various decisions, whether or not they survive court challenges or not. And obviously the Attorney General has been pretty busy as well. I am I am slightly frustrated and have reached out to both the Speaker's office and have recently encouraged the Governor's office to maybe move into a place where we are doing some regular briefings to Vermonters. Folks are pretty scared, I would say, right now, and are starting to be impacted by some of these firings and funding freezes. So, I think there's a lot that isn't known right now because so much that is being done is being challenged in the courts. So, is there something in particular, Bethany, that you think would be helpful?
It's really hard. I think that I agree. I think that especially at the small business level, people are scared and there is a lot of unknowns and how that all of this is going to impact not just the tourism industry, but their ability to run their businesses and offer things at an affordable rate and all of that. So I think probably it's mostly just knowing. I have emails going out to you and Becca and a bunch of people just sharing what we've heard at the chamber level. But
Great.
I think
That's great.
that voice needs to be amplified at the state level, just so people know that we are getting those phone calls, and we often get them probably thinking that they're talking to the state chamber, but because we have the visitvermont.com website, people tend to think we're the state chamber, not a regional chamber. But I think the more information and the more people can know that you guys are advocating for them, the better.
Yeah, I agree. And I thank you for writing. I haven't received that yet. It sounds like you're getting ready to send it.
Yeah.
I would encourage you, the more specific the questions are that you have, probably the more helpful we can be.
Okay, absolutely.
And
Thanks.
it's really important actually to communicate both to us at the statewide level and federally about the impacts that folks are seeing on the ground, and when.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Eric, in response to what Laura was just talking about, those two task force and committees. So if anyone is interested in getting on an agenda for one of those, let me know or let Laura know. But right now, the focus that BDCC is bringing to that is specific to the tariff impacts. So historically, there's been a foreign trade zone in our region, which a private nonprofit managed. That's defunct. So we're speaking with Senator Welch's office, with Lindsay Curley and this task force about setting up a new foreign trade zone. And depending on the volume of imports or exports that a business has specific to a tariff, it can be worth it even for a smaller business to join this. The difference with these tariffs is that they are so blanket. Historically, it would be that if you bought a certain type of aluminum from a certain county in a certain country, there's a tariff. But now it's just everything. So it's impacting more of the businesses and the smaller businesses who don't have alternatives to go buy that aluminum from a teeny little county in a different country without the tariff. So happy to help connect people to those committees as well.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, Adam. All right. Anything else for Laura quick before we move along?
Thank you, Laura.
Yeah,
Thanks,
Laura,
everybody.
thank you for joining us, and we'll be sure to reach out with questions and concerns.
Yeah, and definitely do want to encourage you to send letters and support on that local option tax issue. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Laura.
All right, moving right along. Housing committee update. So we did meet this past month, had some good conversations. We did have someone come and visit us. And I can't remember the name of her organization, but basically, she's putting, Gretchen, can you help me? Do you remember?
Sure, it's Kate, and I can't think of her last name. She is a Marlboro select board member, and she is putting together, she received a grant from the USDA for lead abatement in homes. And she has this first set of funding to really get out there, and it's kind of like a get to know you kind of thing, hiring contractors and training the contractors to take lead, to remove lead from homes. And she's getting a lot of traction on that. And then eventually in this area, we'll be able to put out, and people will be able to get this for free or little charge for removal of lead abatement in homes and in as well as businesses and things like that. So.
Thank you, Gretchen. Yeah, so Kate came and spoke with us, and then we had a little bit of a discussion on where the ADU programs are for each town, get some tentative documents together, just finalizing the full application, which will need to be reviewed by legal, but that is all moving forward at this point. And then a brief conversation about moving forward with our landlord support group, which also falls onto my shoulders, working with Cliff Leinen, one of our committee members who works with a group out of Connecticut, which he sent me the information for. It's the Southern Worcester County Landlord Association, and they have some great information and a really productive group together. So I think Cliff and I will have a conversation together about how to duplicate some of those efforts here in the Deerfield Valley. Other than that, any questions for me on housing?
Eric, are you familiar with the Vermont Apartment Owners Association?
Yes, and I believe we actually have some information. Look at that. That's popping up on my screen. And I believe we have some of their information shared from our housing website as well, deerfieldvalleyhousing.com. If not, I will absolutely get that up there.
Okay, great.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for me for housing? Love that. All right. Moving right along. Marketing committee update.
So I just wanted to tell everyone that we are working on our summer and fall campaign right now. And we are still working with Trampoline. They unfortunately have had to downsize, but we are sticking with them because we were in a kind of a step of how much it was going to cost us every year. And so we're holding them to that. And so we're working with them for that. So Tim is working directly with them. But we wanted to bring, because this was such a big issue the last time when we did pole banners. And so we would like to have, of course, the Bytown Economic Committee's input on what we have selected for new banners to be put up in Dover and Wilmington. So Tim, can you take it away?
Absolutely. So let me just bring it up so you guys can see what we've been working on. But basically what we're trying to do this year, can you guys see my screen? Did that come up?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So right now, each town has, two different sets of pole banners that are up. There's the ones that we created as Bytown about 3 years ago now, that have our logo as well as the visitvermont.com. Those are throughout both towns. And then there's the seasonal banners that each town worked on individually. Economic development in Dover and Wilmington Works in Wilmington. So it's time to change out the ones that were built 3 years ago. Those kind of the ones with the visitvermont.com. Those ones stay up all year round and are starting to get faded. We did choose a shorter term vinyl solution that was a little bit cheaper last time, but we knew that we would have to replace them about every 3 years or so. So that time has come. You're starting to see some of the wear on some of them. So we're hoping to get these new ones up come this summer. But the seasonal ones were really well received, we thought, by everybody. So we were kind of piggybacking off of what we had for the seasonal banners and taking that forward into this new design, as well as the new tagline that Trampoline created for us last year, which was well received both in the area and in the two towns, as well as in our campaign, performed really well. So we're taking that where Vermonting begins and trying to bring that to life a little bit here right in town. So as people come and visit us, that something familiar than what they've seen in the ads, is kind of right there up on the sides of the road. So you can see here, we've got 3 different designs for each town. And, basically these represent the 4 seasons of Vermont. The green kind of stands for both summer and spring. But these also, complement those seasonal banners that we have. So the idea is each town would have these 3 banners go up full time, and each town's a little bit different. So Dover has their 3 different seasonal banners that get changed out. So that'll continue to be the case where, these fall picture ones will show up in fall. The, Beaver Dam with haystack in the back will show up during the summer, and the snowman in the winter. And that, will show what season that we're in, while the other 3 will stay up year round and kind of reminding visitors no matter when they come, about the different seasons that we have. So that'll be in Dover, spread out throughout. Shannon, Eric, and I will work together to make sure kind of those are in strategic places and, good mix of all of those different banners. And then Wilmington's just slightly different, where the existing visitvermont.com ones are on the outside of the downtown, and then the seasonal ones are in downtown only. So that'll remain. And again, the 3 new ones, these 3 designs will go up year round outside of the downtown, and then we'll work with Wilmington Works to continue rotating the seasonal ones in the downtown area. So, for instance, this is what in summer, you might see any one of these 6 different banners depending on where you are, driving in the town. So that's kind of the short of it. Anybody have any questions?
I have a comment. I guess there was observations that some of the banners were hard to read in the past. How is that feedback incorporated here?
Yeah, so I think the biggest feedback we heard, and won't be eliminated quite yet in Dover, was the font that was used for the 2 towns. So I think Dover wasn't as bad. I think the Wilmington one is where we heard the most feedback that, the word Wilmington didn't really stand out to people. So that's something that we solved last year. You might remember before I came to the select boards, I came to you all and showed you the signage planted that we had. So that kind of implements a new font for each town for any sign. So, Dover's created some new signs for other projects, East Dover, Horace Hill, that's all kind of incorporated that font. And Wilmington has theirs now. And so you can see this is that approved signage font now that's being used in both the Wilmington and Dover. You can see they are represented a little bit differently. Wilmington all in capitals, Dover in the lowercase. And again, that's just based on their individual signage plans. Dover and their logo has it with the lowercase versus Wilmington, when you see it around town, is typically in the all caps. So small adjustments there between the two towns, but again, that's just based on what those now approved signage plans are. So I think this font will hopefully be a little bit more appeasing to everybody. And we won't have that comment. I might get that old font on my gravestone because I will never live it down in this lifetime. So I might carry it with me afterwards.
Thanks.
Vicky, you had a question?
Yeah, I'd like to see the Dover ones without the comma Vermont, and I'd like to see Dover all in caps. That's 4 times it says Vermont on the new banners. So I assume you're going to bring these to the towns as well. Tim?
We absolutely can definitely show that. I don't know that we were planning on bringing them to the towns or not. Eric, Gretchen, I guess we hadn't discussed what our next steps are before ordering.
I mean, we absolutely can. I can bring these to present to the board.
Yeah, and I can as well in Wilmington. But I was wondering about the Vermont at the top as well. So not taking, just have Dover, it said Dover, Vermont at the very top. It should just say Dover, right?
Yeah. I'd like to see that all in caps. And I think based on the last time we had, I think that you should bring them to the town for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's an easy fix. Again, I was just taking this based on what was approved in that signage plan. But we can definitely take a look at it and talk with you guys as the select board about what that final look is going to be.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Let's,
Great work, Tim. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate all the feedback.
Hey, Tim, this is Charlie, or maybe it's a Bethany question. Is there any concern with the sidewalk project? Are they moving any more poles, Gretchen, or are they all done with that?
So the poles that the shorter poles versus the longer poles, we are waiting for all of the vendors to move their lines to the larger poles, and those will be removed. So all the poles are in place where they're supposed to be for the sidewalk project.
Great. We should just ask and make sure we don't lose any more signs.
If what, Charlie?
I believe last year Tim had an issue with a couple of signs being taken down and not brought back up. No, maybe it was a different kind of sign. Nope. Okay. Ignore me.
I think, Charlie, the hope is that the town is coordinating with the vendors who are doing the project to make sure the brackets and everything are transferred to the new poles if they're not already there. Right, Gretchen?
Yes. So we had somebody come and actually remove them and remove the banners as well. And then once the project is complete, we'll put them back up. I think some got moved to the new pole, but I'm not hot on new poles. But yeah, we're working on it.
All right. Any other questions on marketing before we move ahead? Perfect. All right. Moving into any other business?
So I'm wondering if we should act on what Laura had suggested. So you can't hear me?
No, I can.
You can, okay. About the 1% local option tax, should we be advocating along with Vermont League of Cities and Towns? Should we be writing a letter? You know, she had suggested that we collaborate with other towns as well, but you know, I think that something could come out of this committee. And do we want to do that, or do we want to stay away from that? The other thing is that, you know, to Bethany's point, do we want to send a letter to the, I think it's Lindsay Curley's office regarding you know, these tariffs and how it could really affect our visitors from Canada?
On the
We would probably have to meet again next month to okay a letter if we do that. Because our next meeting is not until May and it will be a moot point at that point.
As far as the letter, sorry, Eric, just as a add context, as far as the letter to Lindsay, just so you guys are aware, I've received multiple calls, but there's one voicemail in particular that I was going to forward. It will go to Commissioner Pelham, it'll go to Lindsay, it'll go to Becca, it'll go to Laura, it'll go to Peter Welch. It will hopefully, it'll be a broad stroke of who it goes to. And I will do my best to put some action items in there for them. If you all have specific things you'd like me to include, I'm happy to do that. It's not typically something the chamber would do, but I feel very strongly about this. And I think it's important that, especially for our businesses, but also for all of us, that our voices are being heard at the state level, and hopefully they can use this to spread the word more strongly. I'm also happy, even though, as you all know, I'm not going to be here much longer, I'm happy to speak at a committee if that's necessary to all reinforce the concerns we're feeling down here. But please let me know. I'm going to try to fire that email off today or tomorrow at the latest. And I think a letter from you all would also, I think as many ways of communicating with them as possible is best. So I would suggest a letter from you all as well.
I think, like, honestly, I would write a letter from Dover. Gretchen, I would have you write a letter, and then I would write a letter on behalf of the Bytown as a group as well. Let's, you know, flood them, honestly. Let's make them read a little bit and understand that this is kind of a big deal for us. Maybe I'm wrong, but
no, I mean, Adam, I would defer to you too. Like, I think the more they hear from us, both individually and as committees, the more power they have to show that, like, these are real concerns that their constituents are raising to their level. No?
Yeah, 100%. You know, the squeaky wheel in legislation gets listened to. And I think it is a great strategy to do individual and group, because then they see both the individual nature of it, to specific if you start hitting individual legislators, and then you start hitting senators, they see both the, you know, municipal interest, but also a coalition and a regional interest. It speaks loudly of the organization and impact for the region.
I can also reach out to the Vermont Chamber of Commerce, as they have a whole advocacy arm, and make sure that they know what we're doing, just so they can reinforce it as well.
Yeah, and if you want to copy us, we will write a letter based on the different towns' letters and say, hey, our towns are saying this, and support those positions.
Awesome. And I think, Christine, we'll get to you in just one hot second. So let's write some letters individually. Gretchen, if you want to put mine and your head together, I don't know that it needs to be a whole other meeting. I think we write a letter, send it out to the group and ask for comment and then send from there. I don't know that we have to have a whole other meeting about just that, but that's just my thought. So is everybody okay with that or? Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Cool. Gretchen, thank you for that. Adam, thank you. Bethany, thank you. We will let Christine speak. I know she's got to head out, so we're just going to hop into updates and start with the mover. Christine.
Good morning, everybody. Sorry to jump the line. So we have had a pretty flat winter as far as ridership compared to last year, but it should be noted that we also started a week or so later because the mountain didn't get open for Thanksgiving weekend. So we kind of look at it as we'd probably be ahead of ridership for last year. So that's always a positive thing. So all in all, we're doing pretty good this winter. There has been some weather challenges. But the drop zone of the mountain is working great since we changed it last year. The people seem to be happy. We've gotten great feedback from town meeting days. We had real success there in town appropriations and just general feedback. So it was really good to see. As you know, we have 34 towns and it was quite the undertaking to get to all those towns, but we managed to split ourselves up and we got it all done. So that's the positive. The reason why I'm leaving a little early today is we're starting to focus on grant season and funding for next year. And we are, like everything, being told that there are pieces of the funding that may change or may reduce or may stay the same. So we're trying to navigate what that might look like for next year. We don't foresee any major changes. However, there might be some tweaks that we're going to have to do to some routes to make it work for our budget. So that's kind of our next step. Certainly not the level of concern that other pieces are seeing, but still always a concern. And again, everything's up in the air, as we all know. So hopefully I'll have more at the May meeting. I should have more at the May meeting because we should have already applied for our grant by then. So we'll kind of know what's coming. Great group of people that we hired this year, still a little short on drivers this past winter, but it is what it is. You know, housing is still an issue for people that we try to hire if they want to move here from other towns. There's definitely a concern for housing. So I'm always glad to hear that there's still work being done on housing. So thank you to everybody who works behind the scenes on that. All in all, I think that's about it, unless anybody has specific questions. Leo, I'm sure we're going to reach out to you to kind of come and actually meet you, but probably after the season so we can all breathe. And maybe one of those times at the end of the season, if we're up in the drop zone, I'll shoot you an email. And if you're around, you can pop in and say hi and see all of our crazy drivers.
I'd love that. Thank you.
Yeah. So other than that, if anybody has questions about specific things or any concerns, please ask away. If I can answer them now, I will. Otherwise, more to come in May.
Any questions for Christine?
I'll just make a comment that, you know, in Wilmington and obviously in other communities that really supported the movers funding request, there was just, you know, overwhelming support. The comments that were made is, you know, where have you been? And you know, yes. So good for you guys for pursuing that. And I think, you know, you've tapped into something that, you know, if you didn't know exists, is strong support across the region. So kudos.
Thank you. Yeah, it was good to hear, like, in person. It was nice to hear.
Awesome. Thank you, Christine.
Have a good rest of the meeting, everybody.
Thank you. Wilmington, Charlie, Gretchen.
Charlie, you want to go first?
Sure. We had a town meeting yesterday, 2 days ago. Sorry, I forgot what day it was. Couple of things we went through. As you guys know, Bob Fisher moved 75 feet away into the town of Wilmington, into the town of Marlboro. And he was no longer eligible for town moderator. So the first action was to appoint someone from outside of town to be the moderator. So Bob Fisher is now the moderator for the town unless someone runs against him. Regarding the other, was reelected for 2 years remaining on my 3-year term. John Gannon resigned because he is now a full-time resident of Wyoming. So John LeBron was voted in to take his spot as a 2-year term on the select board. Vince Rice was re-voted in again for his 3-year term. And the one article that went to vote was we limited the number of licensed cannabis retailers in the town, and that was approved via vote as well. Besides that, it was a great meeting. Budget and everything was approved, and not too much discussion through that. You want to add anything else for that, Gretchen?
Yeah, so a couple of, project updates. The water and sewer project that goes out on Route 9 East is now in full mode of easements. So I'm working with property owners on those. And of course, the final design. On the East Main Street sidewalk project, which we talked a little bit about the poles, that's kind of where we're at with that. All easements have been signed. It's at the state right now so that they can look at those easements for the 5th time to make sure that they are all correct. And I don't know how long that process will take, but once that is done, we will put it out for requests for proposals for a contractor to take that on. And just of note, there's a sewer piece of that project that is happening. There's some private lines that go under people's homes up to the funeral home. And the funeral home has actually never been connected. So they will now be connected to the wastewater system in Wilmington. So, and then the Hoot Toot and Whistle trail project, again, is moving forward. We are still working on contracts that have to be very, very specific due to our grant funding of that. So we are working diligently on that. Sam, do you have anything that you would like to add?
Yeah, if I can, I will just add 2 quick things. I just want to let everyone know we wrapped up our Make It on Main Street business plan competition. We had 3 winners. Butter Mountain Bakery won first place to expand their business. Local Loop will be a new retail business occupying a vacant building downtown, which is wonderful. And then Cherry Press Print will be moving her business to downtown Wilmington. I did also just want to note, we are working really hard on closing our funding gap for the Veterans Memorial Park. Through local fundraising efforts, we've raised about $62,000, which I think is huge for our small community. We've secured an additional $59,700, but we still need about $165,000. So we have applied for 1 grant and are working on submitting for a 2nd grant next week, and hopefully we can close that funding gap and get started on the Veterans Memorial Park this summer.
Awesome. Any questions for Wilmington or Wilmington Works?
I just want to say one thing quickly, and that is just, so I think Sam needs to be publicly recognized for the incredible job she did with the business pitch competition. Getting 3 businesses additional funding or new funding, and adding a new business to downtown will be pretty significant. And I know it was a big lift for her, and she just did a really incredible job. And I know Adam was part of the judging process, but kudos to you, Sam, because you really killed it.
Thank you.
Anything else for Wilmington? Awesome. We'll move to Dover. Vicky?
Sure. We had a moderately attended town meeting last year. We were standing room only, which I don't understand the difference, but no contested races. I won re-election and was voted the chair last night. Joe Mahan won the re-election, and we welcomed a new board member, Patrick Lagrange, who happens to be the chair of the Planning Commission and also the chair of our Water Task Force. And the Water Task Force has been busy. We are in the process of negotiating a contract with Dufresne to do our water feasibility study, which is going to be huge. So there's going to be more to come on that. I guess that's all I need to say, Eric.
Okay. Yeah, we're trucking right along. We're just waiting for our final run through with Deckard. They had a technical issue on their end, getting, payment systems and things attached. So as soon as that's taken care of, we'll be launching SCR registrations. Everybody seems to be ready to register when that does open. Seeing positive feedback and usage on our Banwango account and the winter pass and things like that. So we'll keep an eye on that, as far as moving into marketing and things for the next season. And then other than that, we're just wrapping up our application for the Land and Water Conservation Fund grant that could possibly net us a 8 to 10,000 foot concrete skate park in the town of Dover, which would be pretty huge. It's in our Weston and Sampson Trails and Rec plan, and it's kind of above and beyond anything you're going to find in the area, which we would hope, much like Horace Hill, would bring people here specifically to use those types of facilities. So working on that, made it through to the second round, and that's due next week. So I will keep you posted. But other than that,
I had one more thing I forgot. Dover voters at town meeting were very generous. The Moover asked for $4,000 by a floor motion. That was raised to $10,000 and approved. So we added another 6 on top of it.
awesome. Thanks, Vicky. And then the only other thing is, just answering lots of questions for concerned constituents. And I think, moving forward, so like some questions came up at town meeting and things like that about the transparency of our department and what we do and things like that. So I think, just as far as the economic development department goes, just moving forward and continuing to work on being as open and public and transparent about everything that we do as possible so that everybody knows exactly how the 1% works and what it's used for and things like that. So we'll just continue that in our department and hope that the word gets out there a little better. All right. Any questions for myself or Vicky? Awesome.
Eric, can I throw something again for Wilmington?
Sure.
Vicky said it reminded me. So Tom was reelected chair for Wilmington. Vice chair is Vince, and Tony Tribino is clerk.
There you go. Thank you, Charlie. Bill, Hermitage Club.
All right. A lot since our last meeting going on and what I call the long, fast winter. You all know I don't need to say it, but I'll say it because it feels good. What a great winter, best coverage, best conditions in a decade. Temperatures never really got above freezing, well below freezing quite a bit, but it has just really maintained all the great skiing in the valley, which has been wonderful. Other than the pesky wind, which vexed our president's week there a bit, I think, on both ends from Mount Snow and ourselves. Strong MLK membership continues to grow, and I think good news there is we've got a couple dozen new members, new second homeowners who will be discovering and learning to enjoy the valley year round, which is always a treat when they realize how much there is to do here spring, summer, fall. Some of the key events over the last couple of months, of course, Community Day, back at the beginning of February, which coincided with the National Skiers Association regional convention at Mount Snow, which was nice because we got to see a lot of our industry friends who don't normally get to see the Hermitage and learn what private club operations is all about. We also hosted a really neat event that was for young adult patrollers from around the region. 6 states were represented and about 50 young patrollers who are, it's much more difficult now to be a ski patroller than it was when I was a junior at 14 or 15, when advanced first aid was really all you needed. Really impressive day of sled handling, including in the glades, lots of outdoor emergency care training, and we were really pleased to participate in that. Ski patrolling is one of those parts of the ski industry that isn't typically seeing a lot of young entry. So important to grow that from the bottom up. And then earlier this week and weekend, we hosted the Vermont Winter Special Olympics. Tremendous event, something we're really pleased to do for all the great athletes. And we'll, this was the second year, we'll be back at that next year for the third year. Some, kudos again to Sam on the Wilmington Works. That was a great event. And I know the months and months of work that went into that ahead of time. Neat to see the community turn out and watch the final presentations and the voting on that. And speaking of voting, great town meeting day. That's a little bit unique if you're not from Vermont. You don't know what that's all about. It's a show in itself. That was great. Looking ahead, probably don't need to remind any of you. I hope you're paying attention. Daylight savings time on Sunday. Lose an hour of sleep, but hope everyone's setting their clocks for first chair. They don't miss it. And we'll get a sunny Sunday afternoon. Now we get to bask in those afternoons. Looks like we're open all week next week for March break for a lot of our members' school schedules. Looks like it's going to be a spring break. Temperatures in the 40s, hitting 50, sunny every day. So it's going to be soft bumps in the morning and drinks on the patio in the afternoon, I think. And it is a full moon. This is the blood or worm moon for those of you that pay attention. So about 2 o'clock Thursday morning, you want to be up in the morning to see the red moon. Looking forward to Chili Stroll at the end of the month. Always a highlight. We're scheduled to close after Sunday, the 30th of March. If the conditions and the weather are favorable, we'll stretch it for one more weekend for the devout. But that will very quickly here in the next couple of weeks wrap up our season. Any questions? Oh, and Community Day, sorry I didn't mention, I know it was in the paper, but we raised $18,000, $9,000 each for Community Cares, the Fuel Assistance Fund, and for the food bank.
Kudos. Good job.
Awesome. Thank you, Bill. Any questions for Bill in the club? All right. Leah, you have the stage.
I actually don't have anything to add as I gave my update when I made my introduction. Thank you.
Awesome. I'll ask one more time. Any questions for Leah while she's...
I have a question for Leah. In the past years, or more of just a suggestion, can you guys make sure your events calendar is loaded up for the upcoming year? Chamber and some of the other businesses do use that to, for our newsletters and stuff like that, and it's hard to find out data information. So I know you announced in your thing, but if you can make sure the calendar is updated, that'd be great.
Yes, we will do that.
Thank you.
Great. Adam.
Hey, everybody. So we have received an award from the National Science Foundation in partnership with Landmark College, Bennington College, and CCV to engage in the expansion of the STEM-based business network for the 4 southern counties. So what this means for everyone in our region is we've got some more capacity for 4 years to support businesses that are in the STEM fields. And that is very loosely defined, being in the STEM field. So, if you are a manufacturer, we're going to likely consider you in the STEM field. With this capacity, we'll be just doing a little more business outreach, which will support some of our technical assistance. We're starting our launch pad next week. We have about 25 people registered for that. We've got about 5 spots left. So if you know anyone out there who's looking to learn how to start a business from scratch all the way through operation, please send them our way. Information's on our website. We also have a board training that we're doing. This is the third version of this that we've done over the years. So if you know anyone who's new to a board and wants to understand the role of governance, this is a great opportunity. Again, info on our website. And then we have launched the Wyndham Seed Fund, which is part of the Wyndham County Economic Development Program. So we've had the lending, but now in addition, we have this investment fund. And we're speaking with some folks in the Valley about looking into more of an angel network, which would also be able to invest in the small startups and have more patient capital than traditional lending. So really excited with those nascent conversations and where those are going to go. And I think I'll leave it with our summit. If that's not on the calendar, count on being spammed at least 3 more times by myself or folks from the office. And Leah, if you are not receiving our newsletter, I welcome you to go to brattleborodevelopment.com. Scroll to the bottom and you will see our newsletter that is sent every 2 weeks on Tuesday mornings. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Adam. We did the mover. Bethany.
Me. Okay, so Chamber's doing really well. We've got 165 members as of yesterday, which is a significant increase from the last couple years. I think we're seeing steady growth year over year. We do thank you, Bill, for mentioning we have the Vermont Craft Beer and Chili Stroll on March 28th from 4 to 7. Ticket sales are up from last year, which is really great. I'm hoping that we have awesome weather. We've got a really nice lineup of beers this year. A lot of breweries have actually been reaching out to us because they've heard the event is so awesome and they want to be part of it. And then, of course, our phenomenal restaurants and chefs will be submitting chilies for the chili contest. So I hope to see many of you there. I will be there for that event. I want to take a second to thank both of the towns who approved funding. Dover approved funding for all of our events for 2025. Wilmington gave us $15,000 to go towards the fireworks, which will be on July 2nd this year. I think I've talked about that before, but it was really hard to get a date for the fireworks this year. So we ended up landing on the July 2nd, which is a Wednesday, with July 6th as our rain date. I'm hoping that means people are going to come in for our fireworks and spend the rest of the weekend, if not then following week in the Valley. I am focused really on making sure the foundation for all of our events are laid out. Tomorrow is my last day at the chamber full time, but I'll be staying on part-time, really focusing on the event planning because that's so important. And this is that time of year where we kind of lay the groundwork for those. So I'll be working with Janet Boyd on Blueberry Festival and Shannon and Lisa and everyone on the board, Charlie, on all the other events that we do every year to make sure that they will be successful. Lastly, executive director search has launched. It launched last week. Shannon's taking the lead on that. I think we've gotten a solid first round of applicants. There's a deadline is March 14th, if I recall correctly, for the first initial application review process. If you know anyone who's interested, it is a really exciting and dynamic role, and it's a chance to make an impact in the Valley in a significant way, in my opinion. And I've really enjoyed working with you all and spending the last 3 years in that role. So please don't be strangers. If you need anything, reach out. I'm going to be monitoring the email for all the chamber accounts through indefinitely at this point for as long as I need to. But it really has been a pleasure. So thank you all. I think that's everything for now.
Thank you, Bethany.
Any questions for Bethany before we let her off the hook?
He'll be missed.
Thank you.
Yeah, Bethany, kudos. You really brought the chamber back from the brink and you did a fabulous job and you're really going to be missed.
Thank you. I will miss you all too. Definitely.
Okay. On that note, our next meeting is scheduled for May 1st. We will, Gretchen and I, like I said, will put our heads together maybe on a letter and get that out to you guys to take a look at sooner rather than later. And other than that, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you in May.
thanks.